categorization in terms of they're addicted or they're mentally ill, or they did something wrong. There's, they're lazy, they're refusing to work, they're choosing to be homeless.
Unsanitary or crime-ridden or dangerous or drugs.
It's detrimental to the community. To an individual, it could harm their self-image. It poses a challenge to further understand homelessness and poverty in general.
They would say you always bring out these shortcomings. I'm not anti-homeless. I just, whether it's that or crime or breaking into car windows, if you tell me it's sunny and it's raining, I'm not going to report that it's sunny.
Advocates, they got a little mad at me because I wasn't towing their line, so they kind of created a narrative that I was unsympathetic to the homeless, which I didn't really think I was. So I think keeping an open mind is really important. My critics would probably tell you I didn't keep one, but I thought I did. I really came to believe it was a really good idea, and that's what they call a safe injection center. It's less of a problem in terms of needles. In Vancouver, Canada, where they have a safe injection center, they feel like they're getting a much better response to getting people into counseling for addiction. So it's kind of a win-win-win.
I think the newspaper should piss you off, and it should piss you off because you see opinions you don't agree with, and you should see some that you do agree with, and those should challenge you to rethink what you believe or recommit yourself to what you believe. So people who get upset about that stuff, I think, are just being really intellectually lazy.
Kevin Fagan.
Kevin Fagan.
Kevin Fagan.
Kevin Fagan.
Kevin Fagan.
We stayed out in the streets for 6 months, and the people that we saw became our guides for what worked and what didn't. We saw them go in and out of jail, in and out of hospitals, in and out of temporary, shitty hotel rooms, friends' couches, doing that cycle. Then I went and I started talking to experts, the officials, the guys, the people who ran the city's homeless programs, and street counselors. If you're just going to do stories purely from the street, you get a really different view. It's a view of frustration and want and need, and it doesn't see the other side, which represents what's available and why.
I've always kind of just walked, into the encampments and made friends and talked to people, and I found that they were really just willing and wanting to share their story. What I focus on were the sweeps of encampments, which were happening at that time a couple times a week, early in the morning, at night.
People are being swept aside like objects, and so we would go and report when that was happening.
I certainly wish some of it was better, was more than just this terrible thing happened, and just kind of focusing on that.
In the exact same way that reporters get screamed at by different people who are unhappy with what they have written, I'm sure that people who are city officials who are responsible for dealing with this crisis, that they are on the receiving end of very strong opinions, probably not always expressed very politely. At the same time, as journalists, part of our role is accountability.
The media always tends to think of department heads and policy figures who work for the city as the experts on the issue, and kind of leans towards them without questioning the information that they're giving. And very opposite is constantly questioning our motives and questioning our information. We're kind of like relied on as the opposing voice. If you look at most of the stories, voices of homeless people directly are often left out.
I don't know anybody who wants to read, a dense policy story on homeless people without actually talking to any homeless people. I think that would be strange and irresponsible. Nobody could escape a story about the causes and solutions of homelessness, then maybe we could cut through the sort of noise on the issue and say, this is not okay and we need to do something else. I have no tolerance for here's a sad story about a homeless person. Those stories contribute, I think, to the noise around the issue. They don't really teach us how we need to move forward. So I'm much more interested in stories that will expose why a situation got like this, how we can fix it, what possible solutions are working, who's trying new ideas, who's not trying new ideas, how our money is being spent, how it's being misspent. The Tipping Point Foundation and Mark Benioff will tell you they, decided to have extra philanthropic efforts because of the Homeless Project. I never heard Nancy Pelosi say the word homelessness until the week of the Homeless Project.
And it was a kind of a cool idea to think of it like as a blitz, but I think some people might have just gotten kind of tired of it. And it's sad because already here in San Francisco, so many folks are just so desensitized to the situation. I feel like maybe the Homeless Project kind of like they saw it as like, okay, I'm getting hit with this again. I'm just gonna like really not pay attention now. So I'm hoping that's not what we're doing.
One of the big drawbacks of the Blitz and the really intense media coverage weeks was that we were kind of bludgeoning readers with really intense coverage of one really intense issue. So trying to come up with stories that I knew the headlines would appeal to readers who might already feel a little bit jaded or that they had already read or seen too much.
Getting to the macro view, cutting the hell out of taxes so that government doesn't have the ability to launch programs that could actually address this is one huge factor that doesn't get reported on enough, because it's saying the same goddamn thing over and over and over and over.
How often do you see stories that talk about the homeless community or a homeless person or homelessness itself in relation to positive things? Amazing things do happen in these encampments and in these communities.
There are so many amazing stories to be told. It is so important. We're talking about real people on the streets suffering. On the one hand. On the other hand, you're talking about other people who are working tirelessly to help solve this. And, the way the stories are framed and presented really impact the public opinion.